Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube Astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about various things, basically just matters pertaining to lack of support. And, I really hope that this can help and actually augment support for me to some degree. The thing is, we talk about various things, and that's been going on or really hasn't been happening lately. Just very gravely disappointed a lot of things. First thing I want to get at, make sure I'm covering everything. Well, first off, the lack of viewership. I mean, that has been going on for some time and is continuing to go on. It's that I actually looked at my last 10 videos, and at the time I looked at them, I mean, of course, it's going to be more by the time this video is actually uploaded. But when I looked at them, the last 10 videos had averaged about 60 robust views on them, which I think is preposterous considering I'm a almost 12-year YouTube astrologer. I mean, I started this YouTube astrology channel back in September of 2012, so we're going on 12 years, and I just really don't understand why people have just kind of boycotted the ship, so to speak. I have people that will write me every so often. I'll hear something about why do you got to disable the comments and this and that, and I feel like this, I shouldn't have to make accommodations or adjustments or pander to others, because if you're not even going to give me the viewership, why should I worry about enabling the comments on them? It's not like it's going to make or break me probably anyway. Back in 2018, I actually peaked around that at that time. Some of you may remember I did a video on, it was astrology and the disappearance of Molly Tibbetts. I think I'm saying her name right. She wound up being abducted. I think she was killed. I don't remember 100%. But anyway, it was right around that time I was averaging like around 106, 108,000 views, per 30 days per month. And, now the average is like 37,000 views per month or something, which of course is significantly lower. And the reality is, the viewership should be going up as time progresses, but people have found reasons to not view the videos. I understand some of it may be attributed to not having the comments enabled, but for me, I do have to have a life outside of astrology, to some degree, and that's part of the reason I don't have the comments enabled on it. But it just, I think what bothers me is that I'll get these writings and messages about enabling the comments, and like it's this cardinal sin to not do it, when the reality is it's really bad to just abandon someone's ship, basically, especially with somebody that like myself, that's putting up quality videos every day on here. I mean, those things, that could stop any time. And I feel like a lot of times I look at myself, I'm that kind of person that people wouldn't really truly appreciate unless I went away. And then if I stopped making the videos, I could see people writing me and saying, "Oh, Edwin, what's going on? You stopped doing the videos." Well, I'd be like, well, Bar, the reason I may have stopped it was because I was hardly getting any viewership on them anymore. And sometimes, in some cases, it's not so much about viewership in terms of like glory or wanting notoriety and recognition. But the problem is, I want to make the videos so people can assimilate information. And the thing is, if hardly anybody's watching it, and they're not, there's really not much point in making them, for people to get the information from. I want to make the videos so a good amount of people can learn from them, but if they're not viewing them, it becomes like a waste of time. So it's really very tied into that, as far as why, as far as me being a little bit irritated but not getting the viewership, because it feels like I'm expending this energy, and it's pretty much, it's almost for naught at this point. Now you're averaging like I said before, over that 10 video span where the average was about 60 views for each video, I could see if that was in my first year, of doing the videos. But I mean, we're going on almost 12 years. I'm like, what is going on? It's ridiculous. But the thing is, hey, I got a Taurus ascendant. I persevere through all this. I'm still here. I'm still alive, and it's not gonna just make me go away like that. Make me just stop doing the videos. But at the same time, I have to wonder if it might be getting a little bit closer to that time to actually, leaving the YouTube astrology world. I mean, I may still do videos on TikTok because at least that's getting fairly significant viewership with substantial views, but not. But here it's almost like non-existent, but another thing I want to get at too. And the next thing is like some of you may know that I started a GoFundMe fundraiser, and I have been doing it for some time. I understand that, and may be seen as monotonous to some people, but I really I put it up there because I legitimately do need the help, and there's been a lot of lack of support on this, and even there hasn't even been any donations since the last time I uploaded the video connected with it, which was back in which was just on Friday, you know, um, fairly recently, but still, it's I had a $2,000 goal set for it, right? And I put it up over a month ago, and right now it's at like $729, and the thing is, that you're talking about just like a little over, well, you figure that's about, maybe around 35% or so of the goal, and it's been up over a month, so that's very telling to me. And, I understand, times are tough and people don't have a lot, to spare, and it could be a message from the universe and or the man upstairs, so to speak, that it's getting near the time where I'm just going to have to start taking more action, maybe to do something to extricate myself from my situation where I'm paying such a high rent, and exorbitant rent where I'm at, where things are just tough, but I just haven't been able to get anything to that would be feasible for me. But and I really hope that some people out there can make some donation to the to the GoFundMe fundraiser. Any bit would help, even a nominal, even $5 or $10 is it's better than nothing. It's the heart, it's the thought, what counts. Now the next thing I want to touch up on too is that speaking of the lack of support, this is basically what this video is about in general. Just the diminished support. And yeah, the next thing is pertaining to I had a video up, and I re-uploaded it a few times or so, and it was about regarding going to the living situation, and I hardly get any response from that. I think one of the videos had like around 200 views or so, but for whatever perplexing reason I got very little to none in terms of response on the situation. And I understand, people are afraid, they're apprehensive, they may not have the right situation. So some of my viewers I know don't even live in the United States, so they don't really have anything. But the thing is, I think the way we're programmed and conditioned, unfortunately, is that it's such where we bend but don't break. We don't bend. Most people aren't going to bend over backwards. They're not going to take that extra step. And whether it's talking to some people they know, to say, well, I got this guy. I know this guy Edwin, this astrologer, who seems like a really good guy, and so on and so forth. You have something, like a room that he can, rent for you. People would just, they don't do that because, it's requires, overextending, and that's what, I have to respect and understand why that doesn't happen. And I wish I would have gotten more response on that, but it is what it is for whatever reasons. And I tell people I can make a really good tenant, but the thing is, it's hard to prove that from a video, or when someone just primarily through a video. Although I could provide the references if the time and opportunity came, in which could help, I would say. But the thing is, the next thing I want to get, and I do hope again that somebody can reach out to me regarding that, if they have something available. I can afford up to about $600 a month in rent, and the main thing is that, as long as it has the internet is the main thing. So, but anyway, now another thing I want to get at, what's another thing that's troubling me as well, is that I had it's about generally people being unappreciative of things. A lot of know I have a Taurus ascendant, so I strongly emphasize being valued and appreciated. And there was one troubling experience I had, and it bothered me because this person, I saw as a very loyal and steadfast viewer of my astrology videos. And what happened was, we hadn't, really had a lot of contact, in a certain time. And, I had explained to her, I don't understand, not necessarily just her, but just in general, that, I wish, people would at least, write me once in a while and ask me, how my living situation was. And her response was something like, well, that I only talk with my family really mainly, and I just write my friends like once every 3 months. And that was the answer I got. And I really, helped this person out. I helped her out a lot, like when she needed insight into her chart, and I try to help her by answering the questions when she needed it. But, the thing is, you don't always get what you give out. And if you try to, if you feel like, if you're going to put something on a ledger, I guess you're going to be disappointed if you say, well, I'm doing all this and I only got half in return. Then you're setting yourself to be, be devastated. But at the same time, I wish, that I could have at least gotten an occasional writing on, what was going on, my situation, instead of hearing something like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I could say that too. If somebody inquires with me and needs assistance with their chat, I could say, oh, I don't know what to tell you. They wouldn't want, I think it would probably irritate somebody if I told them that. But anyway, and another thing too, it's funny that, I've had, we talk about, the non-responsiveness of others. Sometimes that could be deafening. In my case, it is. It speaks volumes. The fact that I don't, that people have been almost non-responsive to the issues that I just have been talking about. And, I made a post one time on my Facebook page, right? And it's funny because I really believe this in a lot of cases, that people, collective of many people, will often go around chasing celebrities, right? And people, in many instances, these celebrities will be oblivious to them. They won't even respond to them. And they'll take all their time and make their comments on these people that they don't even know. But someone like me, that the person may know, they're oblivious to. They just forget about me. And don't, just because I'm not famous, doesn't mean I'm not a person. And, the thing is, I would actually respond, and you could actually get more of a friend out of me. And, if you were willing to give me that opportunity. But unfortunately, I think a lot of it, again, it goes back to how we're, programmed, so to speak, and conditioned as people, that a lot of people, they have that inclination to go after things that they can't have, that are not attainable. They go after the celebrities, they put their commentary on them. They feel, I think a lot of it too is, or at least some of it is, it's the fact that they're involved with something, more important and significant, that they feel like a connection to the celebrity, even if he or she doesn't respond to them. In most cases that's the case, but at least like with me, just a regular Joe, I could answer you, and I could be that kind of friend if you were willing to give me a chance. And the thing is, I think too, you got to factor in, and a lot of people just don't want to go outside the box. They get complacent, they get satisfied with who they have in their life, and they don't want to enlarge upon it. They just want to say, oh, I'm okay with who I have. I don't even have hardly any connection with any of the other astrologers out there, and I've been doing this, again, for not to be redundant, but I've been doing this for almost 12 years. And you would think I would be embraced a little bit more by the astrological community, and it just is not meant to be. I'm not flamboyant. I'm very conservative. I'm low key, low profile kind of personality. I think that plays a role. I understand again that the comments are disabled. That could play a little role, but I don't think that's a fair excuse for the entirety of what's happened with me. The fact that I haven't been really given the opportunity by, just the community in general, and it's a shame that it's got to be that way. All this time, these days, just passively, I just kind of have them passively go by, and it's the same thing day in and day out. With me, it's being ignored by many people. And after a while, it does get a little tiresome. You'd have to be inhuman not to let that bother you to some degree. And I've been putting out videos, constantly, frequently, and it just seems like it doesn't really affect people, and how, as far as the treatment's going to go. But I do the videos anyway, mainly because I want, people to assimilate the information. I want them to learn and become learned. In astrology with Edwin Learnard. Now, another thing I want to talk about, I don't think I have too much more to say on this, but the thing to me, it's kind of like when people do things that add insult to abject misery. I'm already going through kind of a rough spot in my life. I'm on, basically, poverty level income or very close to it. I don't have a lot of people in my life, as many of you are cognizant and aware of. There's a number of negatives going on, and I have, and the thing is, when people write me just to say, what I need to do and this and that, especially with the comments not being enabled, like it's this big cardinal sin, like I'm being chastised, where it's really like, some examples, I'm on a kind of, I was called the analogy kid at one time, and I'll say I'll live up to that, that billing. It's kind of like if the car is already running bad and somebody puts a potato in the exhaust pipe. That was one of my old favorite ones. Or another one could be if the car is if you're dealing with, cracked heads and overheating issues on the car, the thing is, it could be like, somebody comes in and performs, a poor coolant flush, you could call it erroneous coolant flush on the vehicle, in the process, and just making matters worse, making the situation with the cracked heads and the overheating even worse. So you have to, the thing about it is, people need to understand, they don't really, I don't think they realize the gamut of what I'm going through right now. When you look at the fact, consider I'm going to be 54 years old soon. I'm an older person at this point in time. Most of my life has basically gone by, and I've in a lot of it, and I don't really have a lot of positives going in it. So they and when you write and you gotta complain and say, Edwin, you don't do this and that, and here I am, I'm putting up videos every day, and it's like people just seem like they become apathetic. The thing about it is, I've talked with people about this before, is that when we look at, a lot of people say, well, the antithesis of love is hate. But the actual opposite of it, I think, is apathy. Because if you hate someone, you're giving them time. They're occupying space in your mind and your brain. When you become apathetic toward a person, like I think a lot of people have become toward me, you're just like an afterthought. You're not even thought of anymore. And you guys and gals out there can look at my viewership. If you don't believe me, if you think I'm exaggerating or distorting things, and that will be proven by looking at the lack of viewership on the videos, which is really unbelievable, because you think people, people will tell me, well, Edwin, I only watch the videos that pertain to me, that, if I have that aspect in my chart or placement in my chart, I'll look at it. If I don't watch the video. Well, what I don't understand is then, why then do we have all these, there's other people, astrologers, that have been doing this less than me, for a much shorter period. And they get all kind, I'll see, some of these astrologers have been around. Some of them have been around as long as me, even maybe a little bit longer. But I'll see a lot of the other YouTube astrologers have viewership like 100,000 views on a video, and I very rarely get anything like that. I understand it has to do with the subscriber. It's proportional to subscribers to some degree, but when you're talking about an average of like 60 views per video, and like I said before, the most recent 10 videos I've had up, I mean, that's ridiculous. We're talking about, I think it got, yeah, I forgot the subscriber number exactly, but I think it's around 29,000 I got subscribers. So, you think something's not right. It seems like the viewership is not proportionate with my subscription count for whatever reason. But that's what I wanted, to get at in this video. So, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.